Welcome to Buddhism Teachings. Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you work, your finances remain frustratingly stagnant, or even seem to dwindle unexpectedly? What if I told you that subtle choices, like where you keep your money, could be quietly affecting your path to prosperity? In Buddhist philosophy, energy flows through every part of our lives, connecting us to everything from nature's gentle rhythms to each object in our home. Money, far from being just a material possession, is also influenced by this invisible energy. When placed in a nurturing environment, our wealth has the potential to grow, but if stored in unsuitable places, it can disrupt our flow, inviting financial challenges instead of abundance. Today, we'll explore 9 places where, according to Buddhist teachings, we should avoid keeping our money to unlock new channels for peace and prosperity. Join me as we uncover these fascinating insights to help you align with the energy of abundance in everyday life. Number 1. Under the bed, a place of rest and financial stagnation. Sarah, a diligent and insightful woman, lived near a serene temple, a space that embodied peace and simplicity. Despite her disciplined efforts and careful savings, her financial life seemed to be caught in a cycle of unexpected setbacks. Rather than brushing these off as coincidence, Sarah sought the guidance of a respected monk in her community, hoping to understand the deeper reason behind her struggles. Upon hearing her story, the monk nodded thoughtfully and explained, "The bed is a sanctuary of rest, a space meant for calm and rejuvenation. When you store money under your bed, you are, perhaps unknowingly, sending a message of stagnation and holding back. Money, much like water, needs to flow freely, to breathe and circulate, as it thrives in spaces where energy can move." He continued, "Imagine your finances as a river. If you build a dam across it, you halt its natural flow, creating stagnation and blocking its potential to nourish other areas of your life." Intrigued and open to this new perspective, Sarah listened carefully. The monk's words resonated with her, illuminating the connection between energy flow and financial stability in a way she hadn't considered before. Reflecting on her habits, she realized that storing her money in a static, confined space beneath her bed symbolized a subconscious attachment to her fears about losing control. This fear had driven her to keep her money close, hidden away in the quietest, most secluded part of her personal space. In doing so, however, she had unknowingly created a barrier that limited her wealth's potential to grow and circulate. The monk's advice was simple yet profound. Clear out the area under your bed. Remove not only the money but also any items you have neglected or forgotten there. When we allow stagnant energy to accumulate, we create an environment where financial resources and opportunities struggle to flourish. Inspired by his wisdom, Sarah took his advice to heart. She carefully cleaned out the space under her bed, discarding forgotten trinkets and worn-out items that no longer served a purpose. She found a new, vibrant space in her home where energy could flow freely, and where she could honor her finances with clarity and intention. As days turned into weeks, Sarah began noticing subtle yet powerful changes. Her finances became more stable, and the unexpected expenses that once seemed to arise out of nowhere began to diminish. She experienced a newfound sense of peace and clarity in her relationship with money. The simple act of relocating her savings had become a catalyst for deeper shifts within her. As if by making space for movement, she had invited a flow of positive energy back into her life. Through this experience, Sarah came to understand that how we store our money is not just a physical act, but a gesture that conveys our mindset and respect for the resources we have. By choosing to honor her finances with a space conducive to growth, she was no longer acting from a place of fear but rather from one of trust and abundance. Just as we need sleep to renew our vitality, money, too, benefits from being placed in an environment that supports its natural movement and vitality. Sarah's story serves as a reminder that our actions reflect our values and intentions. Creating a healthy financial flow begins with acknowledging that wealth, like life itself, thrives when allowed to breathe, move, and grow. Each choice we make, from where we place our belongings to how we treat them, holds an impact far greater than we might initially realize. by releasing her attachment to control and embracing a mindset of abundance. Sarah discovered that prosperity flows freely in spaces where respect and care are present. Number 2. In the kitchen drawer, clutter and blocked prosperity. Michael's home was a warm, eclectic blend of vintage charm, bustling energy, and the remnants of countless heartfelt memories. His kitchen, in particular, was a cozy hub filled with colorful mugs, rustic utensils, and handwritten recipes tucked away among various odds and ends. Amid the warmth of this space, Michael had formed a habit of keeping his savings in a drawer by the stove, thinking it was convenient and secure. Nestled between spatulas, receipts, and loose change, his money seemed inconspicuous, hidden in a place he frequented daily. Yet, despite his steady income, Michael found that his finances felt as chaotic as the drawer itself. Unexpected expenses cropped up regularly, and he often felt anxious about his financial future, as if something intangible was blocking his progress. One day, while seeking a sense of inner peace, Michael visited a local temple, hoping to find solace in the presence of a wise monk he had heard about. During their conversation, Michael shared his recurring financial struggles, confiding that, despite his efforts to save, he constantly felt as though his wealth was slipping through his fingers. The monk listened attentively, his gaze soft yet penetrating, and then he began to speak. In Buddhist teachings, the monk explained, the kitchen is a sacred space of transformation. It is where raw ingredients become nourishment, where life is sustained, but this space is for energy that supports our physical well-being, not for holding wealth. When money is stored in a place associated with clutter and frequent activity, it absorbs that chaotic energy. Disorganization, however small it may seem, disrupts the natural flow of prosperity in our lives. Michael was intrigued. He had never considered that the energy surrounding his savings could affect his financial stability. The monk's words made him reflect on the kitchen drawer where he kept his money, a space he had long associated with convenience but that was, in reality, filled with all kinds of unrelated items, measuring spoons, unpaid bills, shopping lists, and other forgotten knickknacks. The monk continued, money, like life, benefits from clarity and order. When you place your wealth amidst clutter, it too becomes fragmented, unable to grow or bring you peace. The analogy struck Michael deeply. He saw, in the disorganized contents of his drawer, a mirror reflecting his relationship with his finances, cluttered, restless, and devoid of intention. In that moment, he realized that by keeping his savings in a chaotic space, he was treating his wealth with neglect. He recognized that, while he had been quick to secure his money, he had neglected to honor it with a place of respect, one that encouraged its growth and stability. Feeling inspired by the monk's wisdom, Michael decided to transform his approach. That very evening, he emptied out the drawer, sifting through its contents with a newfound mindfulness. He discarded unnecessary items, organized what remained, and resolved to find a different place to store his savings, a location that embodied peace and order. He eventually chose a small, empty drawer in his study, an area he associated with reflection and focus. Every time he placed money in this new spot, he did so with intention, viewing it as a small act of gratitude and respect for the resources he had worked hard to earn. Over time, Michael began to notice subtle shifts in his life. His finances, once a source of stress and unpredictability, became more stable. The unexpected expenses that had once seemed unavoidable grew less frequent, and he felt a sense of calm and reassurance when he thought about his savings. This simple act of moving his money to a new, organized space became a ritual, a practice of mindfulness that influenced other aspects of his life as well. His home gradually became more orderly, and he found himself more intentional not only with his money but with his time, relationships, and energy. Through Michael's story, we see that an organized environment invites clarity, peace, and stability. It is not simply about clearing physical clutter, but also about removing emotional and mental clutter. When we create a clean, intentional space for our finances, we create a space for our goals and dreams to grow, unimpeded by the chaos of our day-to-day lives. Money, when treated with respect and given a place of honor, becomes more than just currency. It becomes a vessel for opportunity, a source of comfort, and a symbol of our relationship with abundance. Michael's experience is a powerful reminder that small actions, like organizing a drawer, can have profound effects on our lives. The kitchen drawer, though unassuming, was a source of stagnation and anxiety. By consciously choosing a different place to keep his money, Michael took control of his financial energy, allowing it to flow freely without obstruction. His actions transformed not only his physical space but also his mindset, bringing him closer to the harmony and abundance he sought. In our own lives, we can draw inspiration from Michael's journey. When we care for our environment and the items within it, we send a message of self-respect and intention. Money, like everything else, responds to this care. By creating an organized, peaceful space for our wealth, we create the conditions for prosperity to thrive. Our external world is a reflection of our inner state. And just as we nurture our homes, we must nurture our mindset. An uncluttered space invites an uncluttered mind, and with it, the clarity to make wise, intentional decisions about our future. So, let us ask ourselves, where do we keep our money? And what energy does that space hold? Like Michael, we may find that a small shift can bring about lasting peace, stability, and prosperity. Number 3. In the bathroom, a space of release and financial dissipation. Linda was a young minimalist, someone who had chosen simplicity as her guiding principle. She had created a life free from unnecessary clutter, only keeping items that brought her joy or served a purpose. In her small apartment, each space had its role, and her belongings were kept to a minimum. When it came to safeguarding her small stash of savings, Linda found a convenient spot in a drawer in her bathroom. To her, it seemed like the perfect place, discreet, accessible, and out of reach from prying eyes. However, despite her disciplined approach to saving, Linda found that her finances were often in a fragile state. Unexpected expenses would crop up, depleting her savings and making it difficult to build any financial security. It felt as though every time she gained some ground, something came along to sweep it away, leaving her anxious and financially unsettled. Seeking clarity, Linda decided to visit a local temple, a place of serenity where she often found peace. During her visit, she shared her concerns with a compassionate monk, hoping to uncover the reasons behind her financial instability. The monk listened intently, and when she finished, he nodded thoughtfully. In Buddhist philosophy, the monk began, the bathroom holds a specific energy. It is a place of cleansing and release, a necessary space where we rid ourselves of impurities and prepare for renewal. When we store something as valuable as money in a space meant for elimination, we inadvertently associate it with release and dissipation. Money, much like water, requires stability to flourish. In the bathroom, with water constantly flowing and carrying things away, it symbolizes movement without return, a cycle that can create financial instability. Linda listened closely, absorbing the monk's words. She had never considered the symbolic nature of her choice. In her mind, the bathroom drawer was merely convenient. Yet, the monk explained that the bathroom's energy was linked to the act of letting go, washing away, and purging. Storing money in such a place aligned it with energies of loss rather than growth. Money, the monk continued, benefits from a place where it can rest in stability, much like a seed waiting to grow. When placed in an environment that supports its presence, it invites abundance. But when kept in spaces of constant movement, like the bathroom, it may struggle to hold any lasting power. Inspired by this fresh perspective, Linda decided to relocate her money. She returned home and removed her savings from the bathroom drawer, feeling a sense of relief as she did so. Reflecting on the monk's teachings, she found a calm, secluded space in her living room, one that invited peace rather than constant motion. This simple action felt like a ritual of respect for her finances, a way of honoring the energy behind her efforts to save. Over time, Linda began noticing subtle shifts in her financial life. Her money felt less transient, and her expenses became more predictable. The unexpected drain she had previously experienced started to diminish, and she felt a newfound stability in her savings. This small change of moving her money had created a ripple effect, bringing calm and consistency to her financial situation. Through Linda's story, we learned that wealth, much like health, needs a supportive environment to grow. The bathroom, designed for elimination and cleansing, naturally encourages things to flow outward. When we place something we wish to retain like money in such a space, we risk draining its energy, reinforcing cycles of scarcity instead of abundance. Linda's experience offers a powerful lesson about the spaces we choose to store our valuables. Our environment reflects our intentions, and when we align our possessions with spaces that support them, we invite growth and stability. Money, as a form of energy, responds to the environment we place it in. By choosing a calm, secure location, Linda was able to anchor her finances in a way that invited lasting prosperity. Her story encourages us to look beyond practicality and convenience. In the choices we make, whether where we store our money or how we organize our spaces, we communicate respect and care. By moving her savings out of the bathroom, Linda not only changed her financial situation, but also her relationship with her wealth. It became more than just a sum of money. It became a reflection of her mindful approach to life. So, let us consider, where do we keep our wealth, and what energies surround it? Just as we would not leave our cherished plants in dark, neglected corners, we must give our finances a place that encourages them to thrive. Through Linda's journey, we see that small actions, rooted in respect and intention, can create powerful transformations. Number 4. Near electronics, chaotic energy disrupting prosperity. John was a self-proclaimed tech enthusiast. His home was filled with the latest gadgets, from state-of-the-art computers to sleek televisions and a collection of other devices. As someone who valued convenience, he kept some of his cash savings in a drawer near his prized electronics, thinking it a practical choice. However, despite his solid income and steady job, John couldn't shake the feeling that his finances were slipping through his fingers. He often felt as though his money was elusive, appearing and disappearing unpredictably, as if it were subject to the same unpredictable energy as his fast-paced, gadget-filled life. After a particularly challenging month of unexpected expenses, John found himself visiting a serene temple, hoping for insight. During his visit, he spoke with a monk, explaining his financial frustrations. The monk listened thoughtfully, then offered a perspective John hadn't considered. Electronics. The monk began. Emit a unique energy. They release electromagnetic frequencies fast, chaotic waves that disrupt the calm, steady energy that money needs to grow. When you place your money near such volatility, it absorbs this chaotic energy, which can manifest in your financial life as instability and unpredictability. John was struck by this explanation. His gadgets, symbols of his passion for technology and advancement, were also sources of consumption, constantly demanding attention and upgrades. The monk continued. In Buddhist philosophy, electronics often represent distraction and indulgence. When we keep money near such items, we unknowingly associate our finances with impulses, unsteady energy, and a cycle of consumption. This can weaken our discipline, encouraging impulsive spending, and making it difficult to maintain financial control. Reflecting on the monk's words, John began to see his electronic devices in a new light. They were valuable, yes, but they also embodied a certain restlessness, a need for constant activity and change. By storing his savings in close proximity to these gadgets, he was unintentionally aligning his finances with that same chaotic rhythm, fostering an environment where stability and growth struggled to take root. Determined to make a change, John returned home with a renewed commitment to respect his finances. He selected a quiet, clutter-free corner of his bedroom, a place far removed from his electronics, where he could store his money in peace. The act felt symbolic, as if he were offering his finances a sanctuary from the distractions of modern technology. Each time he added to this new savings spot, he felt a sense of calm and purpose, appreciating his money as a resource that deserved its own stable space. In the months that followed, John noticed a significant shift. His finances began to feel less turbulent, and the erratic expenses that had once seemed unavoidable grew less frequent. He felt more in control of his spending and saving habits, as if the act of moving his money had realigned his financial priorities with clarity and intention. This change wasn't just in his wallet, it was also in his mindset. By protecting his money from disruptive energies, he had also protected his focus and discipline. John's story reminds us that wealth, like wisdom, thrives in environments of tranquility. Just as we create peaceful spaces to clear our minds and center our thoughts, we must also provide a calm space for our finances to grow without interference. Electronics, while convenient and powerful, emit energies that pull us towards consumption, distraction, and restlessness. By separating our money from these influences, we create a sanctuary that encourages balance, growth, and stability. Through John's experience, we learn the value of protecting our financial resources from the influences of chaotic energies. Money, like any resource, benefits from environments that promote steadiness and harmony. In a world filled with distractions, safeguarding our wealth in peaceful spaces becomes an act of self-respect, allowing us to foster both financial security and inner balance. Number 5. In the attic or basement, forgotten spaces and stagnant wealth. Emily was a meticulous person, carefully curating her home with items that sparked joy and reflected her personality. Every piece in her cozy home seemed to have its own story and purpose, creating a space that was organized yet filled with warmth. For her, the basement was simply a practical storage area, a place where infrequently used items and a few keepsakes found their place. It was here, in an old, inconspicuous box, that she decided to store her savings. Tucked away and out of sight, it felt safe and secure. However, despite her careful planning and dedicated saving, Emily found that her finances remained stagnant. No matter how much she put away, unexpected expenses always seemed to arise, draining her funds and leaving her feeling as though she was treading water, unable to make real progress. Seeking understanding, Emily turned to a monk she respected, hoping to find insight beyond simple budgeting. She shared her frustration, describing how every attempt to save seemed thwarted by unforeseen costs. The monk listened, his eyes calm and thoughtful, and then he spoke of a principle in Buddhist philosophy that she had never considered. The attic and basement, he explained, are places often associated with things we no longer need, spaces of accumulation without use. When we place something valuable like money in these forgotten areas, we connect it to the energy of stagnation and the past. His words painted a vivid picture in her mind. She thought about her basement, dimly lit, filled with items she rarely used or had entirely forgotten about. Boxes gathered dust, holding on to fragments of time, but little else. By storing her money there, she was placing her financial goals in a space where energy was static, lifeless. Money, much like water, needs flow to thrive. The monk continued. It is a form of energy that supports movement, growth, and vitality. When we place it in stagnant areas, we unintentionally confine it, mirroring the stillness in other aspects of our lives. Just as the items in your basement remain untouched, your finances too are at risk of becoming blocked, unable to grow or bring the abundance you seek. The concept resonated with Emily. She saw the wisdom in his words, realizing that her basement, a space she considered safe, was in fact holding back the energy of her finances. In that space, money lay dormant, like a seed without sunlight. By keeping her wealth in a place associated with inactivity and things no longer useful, she was symbolically aligning her financial energy with stagnation and lack of movement. Determined to make a change, Emily returned home and began the process of clearing her basement. She opened up the old box where her savings were hidden, and as she took it out, she felt a surprising sense of release, as if she were freeing her finances from the weight of the past. She sorted through the boxes, discarding items that no longer served her, and keeping only those with true sentimental value. With intention, she chose a new location for her savings, a well-lit shelf in her living room, a space where she often meditated and felt at peace. The act of moving her money to a more vibrant part of her home felt symbolic of a fresh start. Over time, Emily noticed changes in her financial life. Her expenses became more manageable, and her savings grew with greater consistency. It was as if the act of honoring her finances with a space that reflected energy and life had removed unseen barriers, inviting abundance in ways she hadn't expected. Emily's journey teaches us a profound lesson about the power of our environment. In Buddhism, the concept of intentionality is crucial. Everything we do, even seemingly minor choices, reflects our respect for the life we are building. Spaces like attics and basements, while useful for storage, embody stillness and often the past. They are places where energy can become stale, weighed down by things no longer serving a purpose. When we place our financial resources in these stagnant areas, we may inadvertently limit their potential for growth, mirroring the confinement of our goals and dreams. Emily's story reminds us that the physical spaces we choose are reflections of our intentions. When we surround our finances with light, movement, and life, we open the door for prosperity to flow more freely. Money, like water, needs circulation and fresh air to flourish. By giving it a place of prominence, we invite abundance and create a mindset of growth, rather than one of restriction or fear. Let us ask ourselves, are we storing our dreams, our goals, our ambitions in places that allow them to grow? Or are we confining them to forgotten corners, where their energy fades, buried beneath the weight of the past? Through Emily's example, we learn that true prosperity comes not just from accumulating wealth, but from nurturing it with environments and attitudes that support vitality, clarity, and purpose. Number 6. In old clothes or forgotten pockets, neglect and lack of respect for wealth. David was a hard-working man who took pride in his practicality, living in a bustling city where expenses could pile up quickly. He had developed the habit of tucking small amounts of money into the pockets of his old jackets, thinking this was a convenient way to save a little extra. Over the years, he had accumulated various small stashes, often forgetting about them until a chance occasion brought them back to his attention. But despite his efforts, David couldn't shake the feeling that his finances were perpetually tight. It was as if his savings were slipping away, evading his grasp no matter how carefully he tried to manage them. Frustrated and unsure of what he was doing wrong, David sought the counsel of a wise monk he had heard about through a friend. When David explained his situation, the monk listened patiently, nodding with quiet understanding. After a pause, he asked, "Where do you keep your money, David? How do you treat it?" Surprised by the question, David explained his habit of storing his savings in the forgotten corners of his old clothing. The monk smiled gently and responded, "The places we choose for our belongings reflect how we value them. Forgotten pockets are symbols of neglect and disregard. When we treat something valuable with indifference, it echoes that energy back into our lives." David was taken aback. To him, this habit had always seemed practical, but as he listened to the monk's explanation, he began to understand that his actions carried an unintended message. Buddhist philosophy emphasizes the importance of intention and respect in all aspects of life. And money, as the monk pointed out, was no exception. When you tuck your wealth into forgotten places, the monk explained, you unconsciously tell yourself that it is insignificant, something not worth your attention. Money, like all forms of energy, responds to the care we give it. If we want stability and abundance, we must respect even the smallest amounts as if they hold immense value. David felt the weight of the monk's words. He realized that, in his attempt to be practical, he had unintentionally neglected his wealth, treating it as something secondary, easily forgotten. He decided to change his approach. When he returned home, he gathered all his hidden stashes from his old jackets and trousers, each coin and bill bearing silent witness to years of habit. Rather than dismiss these small amounts, he viewed each piece as a representation of his hard work, deserving of respect. David chose a specific drawer in his home, a clean, organized space where he could place his money with intention. Every time he added to this stash, he took a moment to acknowledge his efforts, grateful for the ability to save, no matter how modestly. As he engaged in this practice, he noticed a subtle shift in his relationship with his finances. The money in his designated drawer began to feel more substantial, as if acknowledging its value somehow increased its weight in his life. His finances, once strained and elusive, gradually stabilized. It was as though his newfound respect had invited a different energy into his life, one that reinforced a sense of stability and abundance. This shift was more than just practical, it was deeply psychological. With each mindful action, David reinforced the energy of abundance, transforming his outlook from one of scarcity to one of appreciation. Instead of seeing money as a resource that needed to be hidden or disregarded, he began to view it as a source of support that he could nurture and grow. As his habits evolved, David found himself becoming more conscious not only of his spending but also of his overall attitude towards wealth. He no longer felt as though his finances were slipping through his fingers. Instead, he felt empowered, grounded, and capable of achieving his goals. David's journey teaches us that wealth, like any meaningful relationship, benefits from care and attention. Money may be a material possession, but it is deeply intertwined with the way we view ourselves in our world. When we place it in spaces that reflect respect, we build a relationship with it based on trust and appreciation, and in return, it supports us more consistently. Buddhist teachings remind us that every act, no matter how small, has the potential to reflect our intentions. Through mindful choices, we send a message to the universe and to ourselves that we are ready to welcome abundance. Let David's story encourage us to look at our own habits. Where do we place our valuables? And how do we treat them? Are there forgotten pockets in our lives where we tuck away things that deserve more attention? Just as David discovered, small acts of respect can have powerful consequences. By giving even our smallest possessions a place of honor, we cultivate a mindset of gratitude, opening the door for stability and prosperity to flow more freely into our lives. Through David's journey, we learn that prosperity is not only about accumulating wealth, it's about nurturing it with respect and intention. Each mindful action reinforces the energy of abundance, attracting it into our lives in ways that go beyond mere dollars and cents. As we choose where to place our resources, physically and mentally, we lay the foundation for a life filled with peace, purpose, and financial security. Number 7. Under heavy appliances, pressed wealth and blocked prosperity. Jessica was a cautious, thoughtful person who had always believed in securing her savings in the safest way possible. She lived in a modest home, filled with practical choices and little touches of her careful personality. In her mind, storing her savings in a discreet spot under the refrigerator seemed ideal. It was out of sight, protected, and secure. However, despite her dedication to saving and her meticulous budgeting, Jessica noticed her finances felt strangely stagnant. It was as if her money was under the same pressure as the heavy refrigerator above it, lacking the freedom to grow. Curious to understand this unusual pattern, Jessica sought guidance from a wise monk she trusted. She explained her financial habits and her choice to hide her savings under a heavy appliance. The monk, known for his keen insight into the interconnectedness of life's energies, listened patiently. He nodded thoughtfully and shared an ancient Buddhist perspective. Placing your wealth under heavy, immobile objects like a refrigerator or washing machine symbolizes constriction, lack of movement, and stagnation. These appliances, though essential, embody energy that is grounded, fixed, and unyielding. When money is confined to such spaces, it mirrors the stillness of that environment. The monk's words stirred something deep within Jessica. She had always thought of her savings as something to be kept safe. Yet she had never considered that perhaps her choice of hiding place was actually holding her back. Imagine your wealth as a plant that needs sunlight and space to grow. The monk continued, if you place a plant in a dark, constrained area, it will struggle to find the light and space it needs to thrive. In the same way, when money is kept in places that restrict it, The energy around it remains confined, unable to invite abundance or prosperity. Jessica realized her well-meaning intentions to protect her savings had unintentionally stifled their potential. The refrigerator, a symbol of preservation and heaviness, was inadvertently pressing down on her finances, keeping them safe but inert. This new understanding resonated with her. She saw her finances in a new light, as something that needed freedom and openness to grow, rather than protection under a symbolic weight. With a newfound sense of purpose, Jessica went home and carefully moved her savings out from under the refrigerator. She chose a spot on a shelf in her study, a place that allowed light and air to reach her money. She could see it daily, not as a source of worry, but as a gentle reminder of her efforts and intentions. This small change, though simple, felt liberating. It was as if she had removed an invisible weight from her finances and her own mindset. In the weeks that followed, Jessica noticed a shift in her financial situation. Her money no longer felt constrained. Unexpected expenses seemed to lessen, and her savings began to grow in a more stable, predictable way. She felt lighter herself, relieved from the sense of financial stagnation she had unknowingly created. This small act of moving her money became symbolic of releasing old fears and embracing a mindset that invited growth. Jessica's story teaches us a valuable lesson about the environments we create for our finances. Heavy appliances, while useful, are objects of solidity and preservation, designed to be unmovable. When we store our resources under such objects, we unintentionally communicate an energy of constriction and lack of movement. Like all forms of energy, wealth thrives when given room to expand, a space where it can circulate freely and grow. Storing it under restrictive, heavy items is like planting a seedling in the dark. No matter how much care you give, it will struggle to flourish. Through Jessica's experience, we are reminded that our intentions and the choices we make for our wealth carry significant energy. When we choose places that allow light and air to reach our resources, we invite an energy of abundance, signaling our readiness to welcome prosperity. Her journey highlights the importance of viewing money not as something to hide away, but as something that deserves a space of honor and respect. For all of us, Jessica's actions serve as a gentle invitation to evaluate the places where we keep our valuable possessions, especially our finances. Do we store them in places that reflect openness, growth, and respect? Or do we, like Jessica, unconsciously confine them under weights of security that may restrict their potential? Wealth, like all living things, needs a nurturing environment to thrive. Jessica's story encourages us to rethink our approach to financial security, inviting us to provide our savings with an environment that encourages expansion. Just as a plant requires sunlight to grow, by moving her savings from a place of stagnation to a place of openness, Jessica not only improved her finances, but also her perspective on what it means to truly nurture wealth. Her journey reminds us that prosperity flows best when it is free from unnecessary constraints. With this understanding, we can create spaces in our lives that invite abundance, recognizing that respect and intention are the foundation of true financial growth. Number 8. In an old or worn wallet, a symbol of disrespect for wealth. Lucas was a man deeply committed to simplicity. He embraced a minimalist lifestyle, where every item he owned served a clear purpose, carrying meaning beyond its practical use. Among his belongings was a well-worn wallet, its edges fraying and color faded from years of daily use. To Lucas, this wallet was merely functional. He rarely considered its appearance or condition because it simply served its purpose, holding his money. But despite his efforts to save, Lucas often felt as though his finances were slipping away, like sand through his fingers. It seemed that his careful budgeting and disciplined spending never truly translated to a sense of financial security. One day, during a quiet walk through a nearby temple, Lucas struck up a conversation with a monk. He shared his frustrations, speaking of his endless cycle of saving and spending, of his elusive sense of financial stability. The monk, listening with a gentle nod, looked at Lucas's worn wallet and asked, "How do you feel about the place where you keep your money?" The question caught Lucas off guard. He had never thought of his wallet as anything but a tool. certainly not something that reflected his financial well-being. A wallet, the monk explained, is more than just a practical item. It is a symbol, a container of your wealth and the energy you put into earning it. When we hold our money in something worn and neglected, we inadvertently send a message of disregard. In Buddhist teachings, respect extends to every part of our lives, including our possessions. By honoring the place where you keep your money, you acknowledge the effort and value behind each coin and bill. The monk's words made Lucas pause. He realized that his worn wallet wasn't just an object. It was a reflection of how he valued his wealth. In treating his wallet as merely functional, he had overlooked the respect that should accompany his hard-earned money. Buddhist philosophy teaches that our relationship with material objects mirrors our deeper attitudes. And by neglecting his wallet, Lucas had unknowingly treated his finances with a similar disregard. Inspired by this insight, Lucas decided it was time for a change. He went out and bought a new wallet, something simple but well-made, with a design that he found pleasing. This time, he chose it with intention, seeing it as a vessel that would carry his hard-earned savings with respect. When he placed his money into this new wallet, he did so with a sense of gratitude, acknowledging the work and effort behind each dollar. The act felt almost ceremonial, transforming a mundane task into a gesture of self-respect. In the weeks and months that followed, Lucas began to notice a subtle shift in his relationship with money. His finances became more stable, and his savings, once elusive, started to grow steadily. He felt a new sense of clarity and control over his resources, as if this simple act of replacing his wallet had unlocked a pathway for abundance to flow into his life. The shift wasn't purely financial, it was psychological, too. By respecting the place where he kept his money, Lucas had deepened his respect for his financial journey and the energy he invested in it. Lucas's experience teaches us that every detail in our lives holds significance. The objects we use daily, like a wallet, are symbols of how we view and value ourselves and our resources. When we care for these items, we invite respect, stability, and abundance into our lives. The condition of our belongings, especially those that hold our wealth, serves as a constant reflection of our attitudes. A worn or broken wallet can unknowingly signal a lack of appreciation for the money it holds, while a well-kept wallet invites a sense of order, respect, and prosperity. Through Lucas's story, we learned that wealth, like any other aspect of our lives, responds to the care and respect we give it. When we create an environment of reverence, even in small gestures, we shift our mindset from one of lack to one of gratitude and abundance. Replacing his old wallet with one that he cherished didn't just change Lucas's financial habits, it transformed his perspective, fostering a deeper awareness of the value behind his earnings. For each of us, Lucas's journey is a reminder to examine our own attitudes toward the things we use daily, especially those that touch our finances. Are we treating our resources with respect, or are we unknowingly neglecting them? By making even small adjustments, like replacing a worn wallet with a new one, we open ourselves to abundance and fulfillment. Lucas's story shows that true prosperity begins with gratitude and intention, creating a foundation where wealth can thrive, both financially and spiritually. Number 9. In the garage, a place of transience and instability. Karen was a busy mother balancing the demands of a bustling household. In her attempts to keep her family's finances safe, she had developed a habit of stashing small amounts of cash in the garage. It was a spot she considered both hidden and secure, away from the reach of curious little hands. Yet, despite her careful saving, her finances felt persistently unstable. Every time she thought she was making progress, an unexpected expense would arise, throwing her financial plans off balance. One day, Karen visited a local temple, where she sought advice from a monk renowned for his wisdom. She shared her frustration, explaining how her finances seemed to be in constant flux, much like the transient energy of her busy home. The monk listened thoughtfully, then offered an unexpected insight. The garage is a place of movement, a space for things that come and go. It holds items that we may not always need, or that are awaiting a future purpose. It is a place of storage, not of stability. Karen had never considered the symbolism of the spaces within her home. The monk continued. Money, like roots, needs stability to grow and thrive. When you place your wealth in a space associated with transience, it mirrors that instability in your financial life. Imagine trying to plant a seed in shifting soil. It cannot take root, nor can it flourish. Wealth, too, needs a place of grounding, where it can be nurtured and supported. Moved by his words, Karen began to see her garage differently. She recognized it as a space of constant motion and impermanence, filled with things temporarily set aside, waiting to be used or moved. By placing her money in such a space, she had unwittingly associated her finances with this sense of uncertainty and instability. Determined to create a new environment for her finances, Karen took her savings out of the garage and found a drawer in her bedroom, a place that embodied calm and stability. This new location felt different, safe, peaceful, and steady. She began to view her money not as something to be hidden away, but as a resource to be honored and treated with intention. Each time she added to her savings, she did so mindfully, appreciating her efforts. Over time, Karen noticed a tangible shift in her financial situation. Her expenses became more predictable, and her savings grew steadily. She felt less anxious about her finances and more confident in her ability to provide for her family. It was as though the stability she had created in her bedroom had influenced the flow of her wealth, bringing a newfound sense of grounding and security. Karen's story offers a powerful lesson on the importance of choosing a stable, nurturing environment for our finances. The garage, with its transient energy and sense of impermanence, is not a place for wealth to grow. Just as plants need stable ground to thrive, our finances benefit from being rooted in spaces that reflect security and permanence. Through Karen's experience, we are reminded that every choice, even something as simple as where we store our savings, can shape our financial well-being. When we provide our wealth with a stable, respectful environment, we invite abundance and consistency into our lives. Final lesson: wealth, respect, and intentional living. Each of these stories highlights a timeless lesson in Buddhist philosophy. Wealth is not just a material resource but a manifestation of our respect and intention. When we treat our finances with mindfulness, choosing spaces that honor and support them, we invite prosperity into our lives. Buddhism teaches that intentional living extends beyond our actions to encompass our choices about where we place our belongings. When we honor the energy of wealth, we create a relationship based on respect, gratitude, and conscious growth. Small decisions about how we store our possessions reveal our priorities, sending a message to the universe about what we value. Respecting money by giving it a suitable, peaceful environment fosters sustainable abundance. Through each story, we are reminded that true prosperity begins not with accumulation but with respect, gratitude, and intentionality. Wealth, like life itself, thrives in spaces of care, clarity, and harmony, opening pathways for peace and fulfillment. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any upcoming content. Share in the comments which rituals you're most excited to practice. And let's spread positive energy together to create a prosperous life.